welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ali Gauhar. Tonight we're going to discuss International Youth Day, which is all about engaging young people and encouraging them to pursue sport. It's very, very important that every country supports children in their sporting ambitions and their sporting endeavors. Let's face it, the sporting sector in Pakistan is struggling and it needs all the help and support it can get. And that's what we're going to discuss today, how to continuously improve the sporting sector and how to engage the youth and encourage them towards sports. So to do that, we have a few guests on the show tonight. We've been joined by two right now. I'm first going to introduce Ms. Ada Joffrey, who's on line with us. Ms. Ada Joffrey is a consultant education in sport and Olympism. Ada Joffrey, Assalamu alaikum.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum Ali. Thank you so much for having me once again.
Great to have you on, Ada. And we've also been joined by a young athlete who we'll be speaking to. His name is Yusuf Mozam. Yusuf, great to have you on.
Hello, great to be here as well.
We're happy to have you. Ada, I'm going to start with you. Firstly, tell me, what does International Youth Day mean to you? And secondly, and as I said before, the sporting sector needs a lot of help. It needs a lot of encouragement. And I'd like you to discuss that as well. What kind of encouragement and assistance does the sporting sector need at this point?
Yeah, so being a Pakistani and living in a country where, around 40% of the population is youth, right? So, I feel really energetic and passionate about celebrating the Youth Day. And I think it's not just sports, be it, youngsters who are working in the education sector, in the technology sector, health sector, or any sector. But because, sports is particularly close to my heart. So, of course, all the youngsters who are working in the sports sector and, making a mark through different channels, be it football, be it volleyball, cricket, or any other sport. So I think, celebrating International Youth Day is something that a lot of, today maybe you have seen a lot of ministries, secretaries, and people from the private sector, despite COVID restrictions, they have been, giving appreciation certificates and, talks and speeches just to encourage youth. And now coming to the second part of your question, which is about the sort of difficulties, the sports sector is going through and what exactly we can do to facilitate and help youth. I think as, active community members or no matter, in which section of the society we are, public or private or non-profits, I think wherever we find talented kids, like one sitting here with us on the other side of the screen, we should, first of all celebrate their success, try to send their messages to the maximum audiences, and also, develop linkages and collaborations and partnerships for these youngsters so that they can sustain and they can, go on and live their passion, in the years to come.
Yusuf, I'm going to turn to you now. You're a young athlete, and clearly sport is a very important part of your life. Could you describe that? What sport means to you, and how it's an essential part of who you are?
Sport to me isn't winning a certain game. To me, sport is winning of heart. It's winning to heart. It's winning hearts of people. Sport. Since I was 7 years old, I'm playing sports, and mainly I play football.
No, that's amazing. And tell us a little bit about football and what you do. Football for Friendship specifically. Can you tell us about that, Yusuf?
Yes. There were trials held in our country back in the summers of 2017 for the 5th season of Football Friendship. My school football coach, Anis, selected a few of us to take part in those trials. So children from different schools and provinces throughout Pakistan came and proved their skills for a consecutive 3 or 4 days. And in the trials for selection, the cream of youth players was there, and I am fortunate and blessed to be chosen as one to be a part of Football Friendship.
Yusuf, we're going to get back to you. I'm going to move to Ada now. Ada, we talk a lot about, when we do shows like this, we talk a lot about promoting a culture, sporting culture. Now, truly, Ada, we always say, we say it quite often that Pakistan is a sport-loving nation. But let's get down to it. Are we really, do you genuinely believe that we promote this culture of sport, or are we still lagging behind?
Yeah, so frankly, Ali, if you see, if you have a look at the sports sector globally even, and then regionally, sports sector is going through serious, evolution. And the problem with the Pakistani sports structure is that they're still, when it comes to operations and when it comes to processes and when it comes to governance, we are still sitting, probably 20 years back, and we are not ready. Our organizations, be it the national sports federations or the government sports departments, they're just not ready to absorb these structural changes which are now in demand. So sport is demanding a complete, revamping in terms of its modeling. So today I was just reading a latest article from some of the, researchers in Canada, and they write clearly that what is required in sports is not, strategic planning or, sitting now and making a plan for the next 4 days. With the kind of uncertainty we see these days and the kind of, pace at which things are changing, there is, a requirement to enhance stakeholder engagement, to enhance engagement, particularly on social media, to basically, staying committed to the principles of good governance. So I think these are the factors, because we keep talking about that. I truly believe that Pakistan is a sporty nation, and I mean, you look around and you'll see so many youngsters, so many kids, so many families, businesses promoting sports. But it's just that when they see that that structure and that ecosystem has not been developed, they then either, ask their child to quit sports and, become a doctor, engineer, so that, the youngster can earn a decent livelihood a few years down the road. So it's just that, there's a dire need to develop that ecosystem. And in developing this ecosystem, businesses have to play a role, technology has to play a role, and I'll just give you one small example of education. So if you look at the public education of Pakistan, the conditions are really, really, deplorable, and donor agencies are playing their role to uplift. But if you look at the private side of the education, it's doing pretty well. But the dilemma with sports is that the public sector side of the sports is there, but the private side of the sports has not been developed. So I think, now onwards, let's say 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, businesses and, elite athletes, young athletes should come up, start up their, social ventures, social enterprises, and start building their own businesses and start empowering themselves rather than waiting for the government or for the federations or for other governing bodies to play their role. So I'll just reiterate that we are a sporty nation. It's just that, the requirement is to channelize resources in a proper way.
I'm going to turn to Yusuf now. Yusuf, you were talking about football for friendship. I want to know about what the environment was like there, and the kind of and the kind of support that you got from friends, family, young athletes like yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Talking about the support given to me was very amazing. The support given by my mother and my great-grandfather was something that made me reach this far. My principal of O-levels always boosted my confidence and helped me with various activities. She supported me massively by helping me in every possible way. Talking about my friends, they were always there and were happy about my success. And and the support that football friendship gave me, and it's something that words can't explain. So they built my future portfolio, and they helped me in my career. They taught me the basic skills that help me in practical life.
Adam, I'm turning to you now. We were talking about the importance of promoting a sporting culture. Now, in order to do that, many sectors, institutions, people need to play a role. And I think mindsets are slowly changing. Well, let's talk about families, for example, where sometimes that would be a hurdle, but as Yusuf quite rightly put, he said it very articulately, that his family really supported him. And in order for a child, a young person to succeed in anything, let alone sport, they need the help and support and encouragement of their family. So it's good to see, even with girls, by the way, I mean, let's be honest about this, that while there's still some serious issues, I find that families are becoming more encouraging and more supportive. Would you agree?
Yeah, so particularly Ali, after this COVID situation and the kind of pandemic world has gone through, I think now it's really high time that people and families, parents, we as communities, be it Pakistan, India, or any developed country, everybody has become more concerned about physical health, overall well-being, and mental health. So I think this is the right time that sort of a revolution needs to occur in the Pakistani sporting community particularly. And I'm not one of those who will wait for other organizations or the government to take a stance. I think at community level, at society level, if you are living in a housing society, talk to the board of directors and start going to the community center, engage people there. I remember when I was a child, my mother was used to go to ladies park for walk, and now at the moment there are very few housing societies who offer particularly ladies park, because in the kind of culture we live in, being a Muslim state, a lot of females, they really feel reluctant to go for walk or jog in a park where even men are there. So I think, these sort of small initiatives, I saw a few years back that the culture of open gyms in public parks, and then the culture of yoga classes in public parks, at least in the cities like Lahore, have started. And now you must have noticed these cycling groups in Islamabad and in Lahore particularly. So you are very right that the mindset is changing. Parents and families are now supporting not just boys, even the girls. So this is right time to hit the nail and make the most out of the power of sports.
Yusuf, tell me, how old are you?
I'm 15 years old.
You're 15 years old. Okay. Yeah. So I want to know a couple of things. For a young person like you, what sort of advice would you give to boys and girls your age if they want to pursue football or any sport really? What sort of advice would you give them?
The advice that I want to give the youth of Pakistan is that never give up in your dreams. Always stay focused, aim higher, and there's nothing that you cannot achieve. Don't lose hope, work on your strengths, and see yourself where you want to be one day. To me, as I mentioned earlier, victory isn't a certain game but winning hearts of people. You should believe in teamwork and a team that is fair and friendly, but devoted to creating impact and positive change in social approach and global awareness.
Now, Yusuf, like you said, you're 15 years old, and in your own words, I'd like you to describe the importance for young people to get into something, to get into sport, whatever it is, because being 15, the world that we live in, it's a very dangerous world, and kids these days are exposed to a lot of bad things, and in order to move away from that, it's crucial that you have hobbies. So in your own words, I'd like you to talk about that, because you're at the age that you're at, right? It's an exciting time, but it's also quite a scary time. So in order to stay away from all these temptations that are there, it's important that you channel your mind and focus on something like football, which is what you're doing. That's why sport is so important.
Yes. So,
right. Go ahead.
Okay. So, what I would like to tell them is, first of all, parents should play a vital role in channeling children of my age to focus on their sport. So, as I'm 15 years old and I'm going through the same things, my mother and my father channelize me and make me sit with me and talk to me about my future and my career. So what I believe is that parents should help their children to make them focus on their goals and achieve them.
Speaking of goals, Mozam, this is my final question to you. Then we're going to have to go to a break. Yusuf, what's your goal as far as football is concerned? 5 years from now.
Okay, so basically I'm a football friendship ambassador from my country, and hence I work on my goals. In the next 5 years, you said, I would like to open my football academy in Pakistan, where I will train the underprivileged of my country, who don't have much opportunities. I will polish their skills and promote the basic human values, which I learned from F4F, football friendship, making them better and change makers of the society.
Yusuf, it was wonderful talking to you. Stay hungry and stay focused. You spoke very well. You're truly amazing, and I hope you reach all your goals. And with hard work and dedication, I'm sure you will.
Thank you.
Yusuf, thank you very much for being with us. Ada Joffrey, stay right there, because when we come back, we'll continue to speak to Ms. Ada Joffrey and a fantastic volleyball player who will be joining us. Stay tuned.
धरती बंजर हो ना जाए, मीठा पानी खो ना जाए, धरती बंजर हो ना जाए, मीठा पानी खो ना जाए, इससे पहले के पछताए अपना अपना हिस्सा जोड़े, कतरा कतरा दरिया जोड़े, आंखों में हम ख्वाब भरेंगे, धरती को सैराब करेंगे, खुशकिस्मी की प्यास बुझाए, आओ मिलकर गेम बनाए, आओ मिलकर गेम बनाए, आओ मिलकर गेम बनाए।
Welcome back. Tonight we're focusing on International Youth Day and how sport can make a positive impact to the Pakistani youth and of course the whole country. We've now been joined by a fantastic volleyball player. She's a national volleyball player, Ms. Misbah Hina. Misbah, great to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored.
Misbah, we've been talking in detail about the importance of promoting sport in the country, but I'd like to specifically ask you something about your career in volleyball. I understand you've recently been nominated for the Ambassador Award. Can you share your experience with us?
Yeah, thank you again. for having me. But it was a long journey, though, starting a volleyball career and choosing a sport that's so unpopular and indigenous to be considered in Pakistan. And most of the girls are being like told that you should not choose such sport that you don't have any career in future or something like that. So it was quite a long journey till now. So recently I was selected to be part of a Global Peace Youth Summit 2020, which was joined by the youths from all over the world. It was an amazing experience for me, learning and exchanging culture experiences and all that. It was amazing.
We still have Ada Joffrey here with us. I'm going to come back to you. Ada, we were talking about parents supporting their children. Just before Misbah came on, we had young Yusuf who's 15 years old. It's also crucial that schools start taking this more seriously, particularly physical education, which is why, I mean, the singular national curriculum has come under a little bit of scrutiny. So it's important that schools across the country continue to promote sport and realize just how important it is. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you are absolutely right, and I think if we go again, I keep going back, you know, in the past, if we go 20 years back, particularly, you know, there are so many athletes and Olympians who were training in these public schools, and they come up from the public schools, but unfortunately in these 20 years, because of so many, you know, number of issues happening with the sports sector and the kind of, you know, diversion of the political will from being very pro-sporty to being, you know, so many other things has badly impacted sports structure. But now I think that, you know, private sector, particularly private schools, private colleges, universities, and, you know, different private clubs, they're playing their role, and a lot of students are now training under, you know, these institutions. But of course, I mean, you know, if we want it to happen on a massive level, government needs to, you know, come in and start grassroots sport and have proper sports framework and sports program in all provincial governments if we really want the masses to, you know, enjoy the fruits of the power of sports.
Misbah, I'm going to turn to you now. I understand that you're working for full time. Is that correct? And you have a football, I beg your pardon, a volleyball academy. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you manage that?
Yeah, to run my volleyball academy, I had to opt for doing a part-time job because being financially restricted and all that, and to engage young girls, of course, which is to follow your passion and working for girls as well. So I do manage it. I work in Paktuk school as a sports teacher as well as, and I run my volleyball academy here in Islamabad as well. So we have just recently started in Islamabad. We initiated it in Gilgit Hunza. So after that, I moved to Islamabad, so I had to start it here in Islamabad as well.
Ada, just before Misbah came on, as I said, we were speaking to Yusuf, and I put this to him that it's very important that young people have hobbies, because there's a lot of temptation out there. It's very easy to fall into bad habits like drugs and alcohol and other things. And I'm going to keep coming back to this, Ada, because for me, this is why the International Youth Day and promoting sport is absolutely crucial for society to keep children, to keep kids away from these temptations, from bad habits. We see nowadays, especially because drugs are cheap now, it's so easy to fall prey to them. And you know, it's wonderful to see that there's so many people like yourself who are fully aware of that, which is why you're encouraging others. You want the private sector and the government to get involved to create platforms for the youth. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this specifically.
Yeah, so Gohar, I would like to add that, you know, drugs is one thing, and of course, I mean, anyone who has, enough find that there are pretty cheap drugs options and many other options around us. And apart from drugs, mobiles and sticking to tablets and sticking to screens, particularly in the past 4 months, all of us have been home. Children have been home. They were not going to schools. Parks were closed. Everything was closed. So sticking to screen and is equally harmful as taking drugs is. So I think one important role which as a family unit, mother and father both have to play. You must have noticed that once a girl gets married here in Pakistan, she starts thinking that there is no place for sport in her life, because now she has become a mother, right? Whereas if you look at the West and you look at many even African countries, there are small organizations who are promoting mother-daughter sports culture or family sports culture, and even there are sports like triathlon where the whole family, as a family unit, can register and participate. So I think to keep our children away from all these ills, we have to lead by example. If we don't go for a walk or a jog, we can't expect the child to leave the screen and do something and active. So maybe you have recently seen Milo has launched a campaign which is called My Home Ground, and they have been encouraging young children and mothers to set up something in their lounges or in their drawing room or in their small terrace and engage children in physical activity. So it's just that the more we make the community and make the masses aware about it, I think it will eventually take a turn and people will start, we'll see, children on bikes and, women actually walking, on the track. So I think, just particularly the problem with Pakistan is that we have so many cultural taboos. And those cultural taboos at times restrict particularly women and female participating in sports. So I think if, strategically all of us, the journalists, NGOs, government and the private sector started, providing platforms that help and that suits our cultural norm and particularly religious norms, it will be easier for people to participate in sporting activities. And that will definitely, be fruitful for community development overall.
I want to get back to women in sport and some of the challenges they continue to face. But before I do that, one more. I want Abbas' take on this, and then I want Misbah to clip in. You briefly spoke about the importance of the sporting sector to launch business trainings, particularly for athletes. Can you just explain that more in detail? And then I'd like Misbah's take on it. First, Abbas.
Yeah, so I start with the International Olympic Committee because I read a lot about them. So they have started, it's been, almost more than 3 years, they have started this platform which is called Athlete 365. And it is for athletes from all over the world. The registration is free. You can just go to Google, type Athlete 365 and log in and make an account. So there are a couple of advantages you get through, such networks. One is like you can enroll to, a range of online courses. Second is that they do offer, particular incubator and accelerator trainings. So like I said before, in Pakistan, over the past few years, British Council, DIAS, and other non-profit organizations from the development sectors have come up and have been, financing the startups that are based on education, startups that are based on technology, startups that are based on, beautification, organic products. But it is so unfortunate that I have not come across a single startup which is based on sports. So, let's say such websites or such applications, if you, in UK there are so many apps that talk about Find My Coach or, Sports Fit and so many other applications that really help you finding, a relevant coach for your child or for your, friends or for yourself. So I think that, one whole aspect is this, that the governing organizations of sports, be it national sports federations or the Olympic Association or the sports department, and particularly because the Prime Minister talks a lot about making this country a digital Pakistan, and he himself is a sports person. So I think, there needs to be, collaborations developed with the national incubator centers. They are already existing in Islamabad, in Lahore, in Karachi, in Peshawar, and there are many agencies of UN who are developing collaborations with these NICs. But one big chunk which even these NICs are missing is again the startups based in sports, and this is because lack of awareness overall in the athletes and even in the
Right.
governing bodies of sports.
Misbah, would you like to add to what Ada has said?
Yeah, of course. Being an athlete and running at the same organization, it's quite difficult for me as well, because I've experienced a lot of difficulties to run a single organization, because you see, you are not related to business and all stuff. You don't know about how to hold the financial and all that stuff. So it was quite difficult for me at the initial stage, but with the time I have learned a lot of things. But what I've seen around me and the girls that are part of my academy, what I've seen and what I have observed, that most of the girls are interested in such things, to run their own organization or startup or something like that. So we really need such trainings and such workshops or something related that girls can come forward and lead and start their own organization or whatever they want to do. So I think it's really important, yeah.
We're running out of time, so Ada, I'd like you to give one last message about what this day. I mean, you'd already said it earlier. What this day means to you, the International Youth Day, and what more needs to be done. Your final message to the public.
Yeah, I think particularly my message will be for all those people who are pro sports and they are very enthusiastic about bringing a change in the sporting culture of Pakistan, is that, just believe in yourself, continue your passions, and, if you don't wait for the government or don't wait for any national body or provincial body to come up and, push you to do something, start your own social enterprise. If nobody is there to empower you, start your own empowering journey. There are so many people, in the society you can approach to and you can seek help to. So at the end, happy International Youth Day to the young energy of Pakistan, and Pakistan Zindabad.
Yeah, if no one's going to do it for you, do it yourself. Misbah, I'm going to give you the last word. Your final message.
Yeah, happy International Youth Day, everyone. And I will just say that follow your dreams, be passionate about your work, and do try to bring a positive change in your community, in your society, and do take part in such healthy activities. Thank you.
Allah Joffrey, Misbah Hina, it was great having you on. Happy International Youth Day. This was a very fruitful and important discussion, and I'm sure we'll have many more in the future. Thank you for joining us. We have time for Keep Watching Sports X from TTV World. See you next time. Bye-bye.